All right, our final example here is number 13. And this one's going to require you to do quite a bit of steps. So notice here, this time it doesn't give you the a value. So remember our formula for the nth term is a sub n equals a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. It doesn't give me a1 or it doesn't give me r. So I actually have to find both of them here. It gives me two numbers in the sequence. So there's a couple of ways you can do it, but I'm going to show you the algebraic way first. So the first thing you need to do is use the formula. So step 1, use the formula here and solve for a sub 1. And you usually want to do the one that comes first in the sequence. So the first term out of these two. So the first term is the one that comes first is this one. So that's the one we want to use to solve for a1. So here, step 1, we're going to plug in what we have. So a sub 3 equals a sub 1 times r to the 3 minus 1, because n is 3 here. Well, a sub 3 is negative 48. So negative 48 equals a sub 1 times r squared. So again, the goal here is to get a1 by itself. So to get a1 by itself, we just divide both sides by r squared. So a sub 1 equals negative 48 over r squared. Now we want to use this with the second part, the second number in the sequence, and plug it into the formula. So substitute a1 into the other formula. So we didn't make a formula for this one. So step 2, we have a6 equals a1 times r to the 6 minus 1, because n is 6. And then substituting and simplifying, a6 is 3072. a1, I want to plug in this that I have over here. So negative 48 over r squared. And I'm going to multiply that by r to the 5th. All right, so this is like the fraction. If I do top, top, bottom, bottom, 3072 equals negative 48 r to the 5th over r squared. So you have to remember your properties of exponents here. When you're dividing two numbers, you subtract their exponents. So I would get 3072 equals negative 48. r 5 minus 2 is 3. And that's why we picked the smaller one to solve for, because if we did it the other way, we'd end up getting a negative number here, a negative exponent, and then that would require more work. All right, so solving for r, we divide by negative 48, divide by negative 48, and in your calculator, dividing this by negative 48 is negative 64 equals r cubed. And think back to rationals, or to radicals. To get rid of a cube, we have to cube root both sides. So we take the cube root of negative 64, and we get that r is negative 4. So here, now we found one of these values in the sequence. So now we got to go find the other one. So step 3 is to take that number and plug it in to the one we got from step 1 to find a1. So substitute r to find a1. So step 3 here, a1 equals negative 48 over negative 4 squared. So negative 48, negative 4 squared is positive 16, because a negative and a negative make it positive. So here we get that a sub 1 is negative 48 divided by 16 is negative 3. So that's the number that goes here. So now we have everything that we need to make the formula. So step 4 is to just write your equation, write your rule. So write the rule. So here, a sub n equals a sub 1 was negative 3 times r was negative 4, and we leave our exponent as n minus 1. So this is what the question asks for, but we don't have any information to start with, which is why we had to do all the other stuff in between. All right, the other way that I've seen is with the little spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you put this one in the third space, negative 48. And you put this one in the sixth space, 3072. What you cannot do is you can't just subtract the 2 and then divide by 3. That would be an arithmetic sequence. It works for arithmetic. It does not work for geometric. There is another way you can figure out how to go from one to the other and then work backwards, but it does require what we do here. So here, if you're taking 1, 2, 3 steps, you know you got to multiply the number by itself 3 times. That's the cube part. So then you can find that number and then just work your way backwards to find the A1 once you get that number. That's another way. If you prefer that way, it is a lot of guessing and checking to see what that number is going to be, though. So you have a couple of examples like that on the homework at the very end of the geometric sequence part.